Now, the cutthroat world of real estate is wickedly dark in the hands of playwright David Mamet. An all-female cast of Mamet's Glengarry Glen Ross layers on another twist. Director Lawrence Lee is here, as well as actor Priscilla McRoberts.
Yes.
Thank you both for taking time away from rehearsal.
Thank you.
So first of all, tell me about this play, Glengarry Glen Ross. Kind of what's it about?
Well, it's about these salesmen who are just put in this pressure cooker, and they are just all pushed to the very, very limits. And it's kind of this dog-eat-dog world, set in the 1980s, early 1980s, and it's what happens to people when they're forced to turn on each other.
And pitted against each other to some degree.
Yes.
And is it set in a particular location?
Chicago, 1983 Chicago.
Okay, and tell me a little bit about the language. It's pretty gritty.
The language is raw. Priscilla says one particular word 87 times.
I think so.
Yeah, it's a word you can't say on television, so we won't say it. So it's
But come see the show.
Yeah, come see the show.
You'll hear it a lot.
You'll hear it a lot.
Yeah.
So it is an all-women cast.
Yeah.
And it was originally written, I think, with men in mind.
It's all men.
Yeah.
So
It's written for all men.
what is it like to turn that on its head?
Well, it's really exciting, actually. It's something that back in the maybe 20 years ago, this is a 30-year-old show. It was written in 1982. And maybe 20 years ago, I was living in Boston and saw a production of Glengarry Glen Ross and loved it and thought, what if it were women saying those things to each other? What if it were women speaking this sort of misogynistic language, and what would that mean, and what would that sound like, and what would that feel like? And so I've been thinking about it for a really long time, and no one ever wanted to do it. I don't know why. No one ever wanted to do it until the forward-thinking, people at the Playhouse with the WIT Women in Theater series listened to me and thought, oh, what the heck, why not? And so we get the opportunity to do it here in Duluth, which is pretty remarkable, because it's not something that's been done maybe once, somewhere, sometime.
Once,
yeah,
but,
so it doesn't happen a lot.
No.
And the goal of Women in Theater is to get more roles for
women.
Yeah.
Yes,
and varied roles.
Right.
Roles, non-traditional roles for women.
Correct. And this could not be more non-traditional.
Yeah,
really.
absolutely.
So what was it like to cast it? Were you involved in the casting?
Yeah, I was
You did all the casting.
Kay Horvath and I did all the casting. And I was very excited by the talent pool in Duluth, Minnesota is amazing. It's deep and it's wide, and we got in so many really qualified people who came to auditions. Kate and I toyed with the idea for about 30 seconds of double casting it, but we decided we did not want that heartache because it just so many very talented people came out to audition. And so when you come, you're going to see just spectacular actresses here in Duluth.
But they step into these traditional male roles.
Yes.
They aren't, the mother superior role or, the mother of anybody in this show.
There are mothers.
There are mothers.
There are mothers.
Yeah,
and we're playing as women. We're not, obviously cross-dressing and becoming men. We are acting as women.
But we don't change a word in the script. Which could be confusing for the audience. That's my only real concern. It's like, will the audience get this? But we are not changing a word of the script. So Dave Moss is Dave Moss, even though it's played by Tammy Ostrander, and played Ricky Roma and Shelley Levine. And we don't change any of the pronouns. But I think it either is going to be very jarring for people, or it'll just slip into the background and people won't notice it after a while.
You also mentioned that there's humor.
That
you don't want to just say it's dark
it is
without
dark,
mentioning
but it's funny. Oh my gosh. And one of the things I love about the show is how unintentionally funny it becomes when you have women saying these lines. Because all of a sudden lines that were background lines all of a sudden move to the foreground because they kind of draw attention to themselves. And I like that play. It kind of rotates the script just this way and go, oh, look, there's a different side to this. That's really interesting.
And women saying these things about women.
Yes, to their faces.
To other women that men don't even say to women. They say them to other men. Yeah. So it's very interesting how it kind of all plays together.
Yeah. Was it hard to push each other to embrace these lines and make them real?
It's challenging, I will tell you. It's challenging to yeah, to speak some of these things, and especially where we can be awfully mean to each other, because again, it's this cutthroat you know, kind of like life and death kind of situations happening for these people, and yeah, so it can be really challenging to look someone in the eye and say some really nasty things to them, but that's what theater is. It's about finding that place and being able to live it, I guess.
And that was one of the questions since my last one. They're wrapping me up, but it's a challenging play.
It is.
And why should we embrace theater that takes us out of our seats and makes us a little uncomfortable?
Yeah, I want the audience leaving with questions. I want them to say, you know, why did they do that? What was that about? What did that mean to you? Was it jarring when they said that? If so, why? I want questions. I want, you know, people to be really thinking about this, but also to have a good evening, because I think people will leave having a fun time.
And I think it was, and not to sound all theatery, but I think it was Brecht who said that theater isn't, you know, something. It doesn't hold a mirror up. It actually smashes the mirror, and I think that that's what a project like this does. And we are really fortunate in Duluth to have forward-thinking theater producers who are willing to take on projects like this.
And actors and directors who are willing to step up. So thank you both.
Thank you.
I say break a leg.
Yeah, thank
Absolutely.
you.
All right, Glengarry Glen Ross opens Thursday, October 25th at the Playground and runs 2 full weekends.